everybody, Colonel Dracus here. Just wanted to do a quick thank you to everybody that's been kind of following my progress here on this little vlog, and wanted to run through how I've been painting my my world leaders. So I'm doing a little bit different than I did the last time. So this was one of the ones that I originally did. Let me see if I can zoom in here real quick. So this is one of the original ones that I'd done before, and I primed him in a white primer, but all the other colors were the same. The newer ones, like the Terminator Captain here, I did in a gray primer. So I'm going to walk through the steps of how I achieved the white armor and the blue. I know white armor for a lot of people is kind of a pain in the butt, so I thought this would be a good opportunity just to show how I did the white armor. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, great. You know, maybe find a recipe that you do like and go from there. So go ahead and zoom back out here. The gray primer I'm using today is this Rust-Oleum flat gray primer and paint. And so I just had this setting in some warm water because it's cold out. It is the winter now, and we are in an area that gets quite cold, and I generally prime in my garage. Luckily we are in an area where I can prime year round, and I don't have to use like airbrush for priming. I know a lot of places, you know, up in the northwest and where it snows a lot, you can't necessarily prime all year. But I've got my garage is pretty well insulated, and I've got a little space heater I'll put on out there just to warm up the air a bit outside in the garage. So this is where we're starting right now with the Dreadnought and his arms and stuff. This is going to be mainly just an armor painting. We're probably not going to get into like any of the demon flesh and stuff. I just want to try and show the white and blue and gold and stuff that I've been doing on there. So I'll be back once he's primed.
1 hour later.
Okay, now I've got it all spray painted, based with that spray. The first step that we do is we take kind of one of our dry brushes, and we start with the Ulthrim Gray. Now again, this isn't any like pro painting video. This is just kind of a quick and dirty, let's just get it tabletop ready kind of video. I'm by no means a professional painter or anything. I just try to get this done as quickly as possible, but still want them looking at least kind of decent there on the tabletop. I'm just kind of loading up this brush a little bit. I'm going to wipe it off here on my rag, and then we're just going to start going over it here. We're going to try and leave some gray, that way we've got those shadows in the recesses there. Let this dry a little bit. It looks like we got a little different color variation over here than over here. So it may have been a little bit of a paint mixture in our palette, so we may have to go over that again. But this is where we're at. We'll definitely need another coat, so we'll come back at this after we got another coat on it.
A few moments later.
Alright, now that we got our coats on our white done, our gray, the Ulthrim Gray done on the main body, the arms. Some of this is going to get covered up by blue on the shoulder pads. But we're pretty happy with it for the most part. We may need to go back and do a couple of, like another layer on like the missile launcher or something just to clean it up a bit. But we're happy with this right now, so we're actually going to go and start on the trim. That way if we mess up on the trim, we could go back with the Ulthrin Gray and clean it up. So what we're going to use for the trim is the Gehenna's Gold. So we're just going to make sure that's shaken up real nice. Sometimes you'll see like some brown streaks in there. This is going pretty well, it looks like. So we'll get most of it out of the cap there. And then actually we need to go get some of our thinner to thin that out. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we have our thinner. We're just going to put maybe 2 drops in the lid like that. And we're going to stir it around a little bit with our paintbrush. Wipe it down. I know some people are probably cringing that I got paint so far up on the brush. That's just how I roll sometimes. Sometimes I'll get a paper clip. Just bend the paper clip out and use that to mix some of the paint. So we've got our gold now. We'll just start on painting our trim here. Alright, so we got all the trim cut in, but it looks a little flat. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to take some Seraphim Sepia and go ahead and wash the gold with that. So let's go ahead and start on that. Alright, so we just went ahead and got some of the sepia, just poured it out a little bit into the top of the cap. I always cut off my caps now, just kind of use them as a kind of hold some of the paint in there, and then we're just going to go right around the gold. Alright, so we've got the center and then the left side there painted, this left side here painted with the sepia, and you can tell it's a little bit of a warmer color now than without the wash on this side. Dulled down that shine a little bit too, so that's kind of what we're going for. You'll see that on our other models. It's not as shiny as just without. Another reason why we're doing this step now is if we get wash or the paint on the white part, we could go back and touch it up. So like I got a little bit of wash here on the arrow, and then I got some gold paint like there on the white, and that allows us to, after this step, we could go back and touch that back up before we do the highlights on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the wash on over the rest of the gold, and then we'll come back for the next step. Alright, all done putting the wash there on the trim. Now, if you wanted to, you could go and highlight this again, going just back with the Gehenna's Gold, so it has some bright spots. And then if you wanted to highlight that up even further, you could go with like a Stormhost Silver or like a Ringfang Silver. I'm not going to do those steps because again I'm just trying to get this in like a playable condition. So from here we're just going to go ahead and do the highlights on the white, and then on the shoulders I'll go ahead and show you how I do the blue. So with the white we're just going to get our white scar, make sure that's shaken up all nice. And we're just going to be real selective about it. We're going to get a little bit smaller brush here. Some paint on there. And then what we're looking for is some of the high spots or like a lower edge of where these creases are. Because naturally if the light's coming in and hitting it, it's not necessarily going to shine as much on the top as it is the bottom because it's hitting that kind of fresh edge there. It'll catch that light a little bit more. So we're just going to go through, put these highlights. These highlights in. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'm trying to watch the camera here to see where we're at. Maybe zoom in a little bit. And then if you wanted to, put up some more highlights towards the top here, where you might get some more reflections. If we could show that a little bit more. A little ball of dried paint on the tip of your brush. You want to knock that off. Make sure you got a nice tip on there. Alright, so with those highlights done, the white armor is finished. Just do kind of a spin around here. And then I'll go ahead and show you how I do the blue. Next, the blue is pretty simple. And I'll show you on the shoulder here. Alright, so for the blue, what we're going to be using is the McCrag blue. Just went ahead and getting it ready here. Just put a couple drops of thinner in the cap. So try and get a nice flow to it. And we'll just start filling in the shoulder pad here with the McCrag blue. And I don't really do anything too special with the blue. The blue doesn't take as many steps as the white does. Basically, I'll make sure we get a nice solid covering of the McCrag blue, and then we'll just come in and highlight it. Don't worry too much about shading it because it's pretty dark already. The main thing is we want that solid coverage, because sometimes it can be a little thin. Might need a third coat, but we always do at least 2. So it's nice and consistent, because like you can see here, it's a little bit lighter in the middle, darker in some of the edges, so we just want to make sure that that ends up being pretty even. Alright, so I've gone and was able to finish up getting all the coats of the Mordian blue on the shoulder pads here. And just so you know, it looks like my ring light that I've been using decided to finally die on me. So we're going to have to get a replacement for that. So the light on this last part may be a little bit different. For the highlight on the blue, going with a little bit more of an extreme highlight here. We're going with the Lothran blue for the highlight. So I just shook that up a little bit. Let's go ahead and get one of our smaller brushes here. Build that up a bit. And for this, we're going to be focusing mainly on the top of the shoulder pad here, a little bit along the edges on the front and the back, and kind of around the where those indents are, kind of like we did on the other armor pieces. So here we're just going again, trying to just get real small accent lines. Oh, that's a little bit much. I'm gonna have to go back and touch that up again.
A few inches later.
I'm gonna need to go back and do some more cleanup on the blue there, but that's pretty basically how we're gonna do it. So I'll clean that up and then do the other shoulders, and then we'll put it together so you can kind of see what it looks like. Alright, here we are with the armor bits. It's finished off. See the blue, the gold, the white with all the highlights and everything on there. Try to do a quick spin around here. See the back. Decided to go ahead and add a little bit more blue on the body with the shoulder pad, and then the little pieces there on the feet, just to kind of break it up a little bit. That's how I do my armor. So I'm gonna get a nice consistent kind of look here. Just something easy, quick, just get it done, get it on the battlefield, and well, on to the next one. Let's go ahead and finish up this one, and we'll be done with our current Start Collecting Chaos Space Marines box. Alright, thanks for watching.